Basic legislative protective needs of citizens under 18 throughout the U.S. and territories are under attack when they are home, in school, and in out-of-home placement, and when in programs such as medical and social. AZOP is a national campaign for having these needs met in accordance with the law of the land. If parents, guardians, concerned citizens fail to use the U.S. Constitution, they lose it. Action for having legislative protective needs met for the young in America is paramount at the present time. Why? Because the changing of the guards is approaching in November 2014. If basic to life and living protective needs fail to be met for the nation's young during the time of incumbent U.S. legislators, they will indefinitely gain the opportunity to play the card that says, "Well, I just entered office. I don't know what is going on yet." And it will be played until passed to the next elected official, and the beat will literally go on. Abraham Lincoln sent this warning: don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. And not to Democrats alone do I make this appeal, but to all who love these great and true principles. And in modern-day America, Dr. Ben Carson, recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom of 2008, the nation's highest civilian honor, said this: "There is a group of people who would like to silence everybody and have everybody go along to get along. But that's not going to be very helpful for us in the long run. Somebody has to be courageous enough to actually stand up to the bullies. It's really time for we the people of America to stop being afraid of the government and to put it in its place." Support from parents, guardians, and concerned citizens will have these needs met, and swiftly, when they choose to participate in needed advocacy to U.S. legislators that will have them align their actions with their sworn oath of office. Failing to do so is an act of treason. The top 10 legislators in the U.S. empowered to have legislative protective needs of America's young met follow. Number 1, Congressman John Klein, United States Education Committee Chairman from 2010 to present. Senator Tom Harkin is number 2, United States Education Committee Chairman. And number 3, Arne Duncan, United States Secretary of Education. And number 4, Congressman George Miller, United States Education Committee Chairman at the time of Ending Corporal Punishment in Schools Act being introduced to the House floor. Number 5, Jan Brewer, Arizona governor, currently leads one of the 19 U.S. pupil-beating states and the nation's capital state for child, teen, infant, kidnapping for profit, and sex traffic schemes. Number 6, Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County, Arizona, number 1 sheriff and constable in America. Number 7, Tom Horn, Arizona Attorney General. Number 8, Eric Holder, United States Attorney General. And number 9, Michael McCall, Chairman of United States Homeland Security. Number 10, Carl Levin, Chairman of the United States Armed Services, a USA service created to protect citizens of all ages, even those under 18, on the homeland. Among the most egregious attacks on American children, teenagers, and infants are sanctioned USA pupil beatings, for which federal legislation already exists for having this practice banned. And there's family breakup through kidnapping for profit schemes and the booming sex traffic industry, all of which are results of corrupt government official leadership within the present 113th Congress. Please, meet the government. The litmus test to observe the level of concern of American parents, guardians, and citizens for having legislative protective needs met of citizens who are under 18 will be decipherable by the fact that the wooden board, deemed a deadly weapon by the U.S. Supreme Court Justice, has been banned in American schools and everywhere in this nation. Or not. The wooden board is also known as the Willie Lynch stick, and this is what you're going to get if you don't listen. AZOP is the short name for Arizona Operation Let My People Go, an advocacy campaign for children, teenagers, and infants named after the nation's capital state for American family breakup and kidnapping for profit schemes, the nation's most booming industry for profit, where Americans young are referred to as reusable products. AZOP will be holding a gathering for individuals and organizations who want to know more about current, meaningful, and effective campaign action needed. This social informative event will be held in the Olelo Community Media Mapunapuna Large Studio in Honolulu on Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. and reserved seating is available. Send us an email to SafeChildEnvironmentS@gmail.com. Other opportunities for parents of school-aged children and teenagers to learn more and how to help will take place in Waimanalo, Hawaii at the Learning Place, a new island resource for gaining success in academic, career, and social skills, led by supporters of AZOP objectives. Grand opening of the Learning Place will be posted on AZOP Facebook events. AZOP has offered a variety of volunteer services to a Waimanalo kindergarten through second grade charter school that will open in 2014. Services offered include storytelling, music, dance, and family night events. The AZOP June through August 2014 calendar of events will be posted first in the Banning USA School Beatings Facebook event description domain, where you can also find the objectives of AZOP.
Well, it's ridiculous. So the children need to be protected, and we don't have people protecting the children.
Yes.
I also did a story here about bullying at Queen Creek High School, and I understand that one administrator and two teachers have lost their jobs, and they should have lost their jobs, but we ought to also have the ability to pursue people legally for damages when they do these things. Exactly. We ought to be able to get somebody to take criminal action against these people. As far as I'm concerned, Sheriff Joe Arpaio and his staff raped this 13-year-old girl repeatedly over 4 years.
Yes.
They're the ones that made it possible. They facilitated it, so they at least aided and abetted. Somebody needs to hold them responsible. They had the rape kit that proved that the uncle raped the girl. Instead, for 4 years, they called her a liar.
I see, and
the proof was there. I've heard, as I'm sure you have, hundreds upon hundreds of stories. And the Child Protective Services just needs to be completely dismantled. There's no
Yes.
hope to fix it. We need to start over with something else. Truthfully, we need to let the families deal with as many of the problems as possible, and understand that the right to be a parent is not a government right. The ability to procreate existed long before we had governments.
Yes.
And it's a fundamental human right. And if we've got a parent who is abusing a child, then that parent should be blocked from having access to abuse the child, but you shouldn't take away that person's role, that position as a parent.
Exactly.
You
And
take
those-
the role away, but not the position. If you're the father or the mother, you're the father or the mother.
Yes.
And the idea that they take their names off of birth certificates and give these kids to other folks, and the percentage of children that get put into foster care who then become homeless when they become of the age that the foster parents can no longer make any money is huge. The percentage of homeless in America is something like, I believe the statistic is 50% foster children. The percent of people in prison is a huge percentage, children who were put into foster care. It just doesn't work. But
And in addition to that, most of the children being murdered in the hands of their teachers before their classmates are foster children as well. But how can people learn more?
www.lawlessamerica.com.
Okay.
And then the Facebook page is facebook.com/lawlessamerica. There's over 1,500 videos on YouTube, youtube.com/lawlessamerica. So if you remember Lawless America and run it all together, you'll be able to find us just about anywhere. But, you know, America's broken, and it's up to us to wake up enough people in order to get it fixed.
Absolutely.
And it's the biggest challenge there ever was. But as I've said to people many times, Martin Luther King didn't have the internet or unlimited didn't even have a cell phone,
Yes.
much less unlimited cell phone minutes. Susan B. Anthony didn't have it. They had shoe leather and hard work. Why we can't motivate Americans today
Yeah.
to have the same kind of attitude? Because this is a continuation of the civil rights movement, if you will.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
different aspect of it, and minorities are bigger victims. And I think that that's a continuation of the battle that Martin Luther King was fighting.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, this isn't, I don't want to make it a color issue because it's not. But as with everything, if you're black or Hispanic or Indian, goodness, the Indians have it horrible in America. You know, the chances of you having problems are even worse, but a huge number of white families are involved in this. This is a nonpartisan, non-racial issue that every American needs to get upset about and do something about, because we can have our country be whatever we want it to be.
These are things that have to happen. As a person who is a constitutional conservative, as a person who recognizes that we have a cultural issue, as a person that believes that the Constitution is not the problem, it is the answer, I recognize that the only way that we're truly going to see significant movement along the lines of these ideas that I believe in is by engaging people where they're at, meeting our young people where they're at, meeting parents that deem their right to raise their children as precious. Meeting them where they're at is going to be where it is that we're going to see significant movement.
So rights in a lot of ways. We fought against curfew laws. We have fought against invasive searches, but there is no right that is more basic, more fundamental, more sacred than the right of all people of all ages, not to be injured, not to be touched against your will. You know, this is just as basic as it gets.
I've sent the DVDs to these areas where they're still striking kids with these boards, and the parents are giving them out, and they're very excited to know that in Hawaii, people are learning about their problem because they need a lot of help. And so they're real excited to see their faces being shown in Hawaii, and that we're getting the word out for their protection.
But it was kind of a shock, and I never enjoyed English after that. I was always a reader. I was a voracious reader. But for some reason, after that, the English language, the structure of it didn't come. She wasn't assistive in my learning process.
Right.
It was a punitive process.
Yes.
It was a watch out or else process.
Yes. Organization called Parents and Teachers Against Violence in Education, and so that's a whole nother huge source of information on this. That website is actually nospank.net, and I'm board members and best friends with the executive director. His name is Jordan Ryak. He's turned about 77 this year, and he's been working for having safe schools for the last more than 30 years. And so now we're partners.